Kate. Good morning from Hong Kong. How are
Oh,
you?
good evening from Arizona, USA. I'm fine. How are you, Nita?
I am great, and I wanted to say I visited Arizona. Unfortunately, we couldn't visit each other, but I went to Sedona, and I was absolutely blown away by the energy there, and everything they say about Sedona is true and more. So I'm going back, and I really hope to visit you in that next trip that I'll be there. And
Well,
yes, and I want to say to everyone who's watching today, thank you for being here. I don't know, Kate has come back again. She has been here with us before, and there's an interview that I have of hers, and I'll explain again. But here's the first thing I would like to tell everyone about Kate is Kate has been a hospice counselor and clinical social worker, I think, for over 35 or 40 years by now. And Kate began writing the Jack Afghan series in 2015 after the death of her mixed breed Afghan hound Jack. You cannot read one of Kate's books without healing something in your heart and soul, and this for me meant a lot. While you think she's just entertaining you, she's also planting seeds of wisdom and teaching you new ways of looking at yourself and those you love. These books will change the way you think, and you will never look at life or death or love the same way again. And that meant a lot, and it is true. So Kate has come back to me and to all of us. The first time I contacted Kate was when I lost my little dog, Gina, and that was last year. And I lost Gina all of a sudden. It was she wasn't sick or aging as such, and it happened. It happened in a span of 2 days. She was gone, and the grief was unsurmountable. And I thought, I can't do this alone. I can't. And I found Kate McGahan. I found her. She has written incredible books on pet loss grief. And she literally, in one talk with me, she counseled me through this, and she was generous enough, and she gave me a book. And I would say, whatever love and support I got from my friends and from my family was wonderful. But the words that were in Kate's book, and Kate books, she's written quite a few. You can get them all on Amazon. And she has ebooks too. Kate speaks through Jack, and I'll let Kate explain that. And that's what Kate did for me and for so many of our viewers who had to deal with the loss of a pet. This time, I have five beautiful dogs: a golden retriever, Oliver. I have two little Yorkies, Andre and Nico, and I have two gorgeous Hong Kong specials, Bodhi and Moksha, and they're puppies still. But I look at Oliver, and my golden retriever now is aging, and I look at Nico and Andre. They're 12 years old, and they have difficulty walking. They're not, and I have them as little pups. And I look at them, and I'm thinking, oh, there's there's something going on here. That means I don't have a long time with them. So now I'm looking at them every day, and I say, now how much time do I have with you? And that makes me very sad. And so I thought, now how do I prepare for this? How does one prepare for this? So I decided I needed help already, and I called Kate. And I said, Kate, we've got work to do. And she jumped on and she said, what is it? You lost a dog. I said, no, but I feel like I'm losing them every single day that goes by. And I know they don't have many more years left. And I know from a lot of people already that they have all of them that's lived, they have a limited lifespan. And I said, please help me. and please help everyone who have aging pets. And Kate said, absolutely, Nita. Tell me what it is, and I will be there for you and for all your viewers and everyone. And I really, really appreciate that very much, Kate. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for guiding us through a very difficult time in our lives. And now I would love for you to tell me about you and your pets.
Well, me and my pets. Thank you for sharing your story, and I can identify with it. I think we all can. Um, the first pet I had came into my life when I was 6 months old. Her name was Hayek, and she was a purebred German Shepherd. And when I was 16 and she was 16, she had never had a health issue. And by the way, we just ate gravy train and kennel ration, and that's all we did for meals. So she managed to live to 16. And
Wow.
one night I went out to call her into the house because the thunderstorm and lightning storm was coming. She was terrified of the storms, and I couldn't find her anywhere, which was very strange because she always came when she was called. And I went around the house looking for her, and I found her in the bottom part of an old wood pile that was alongside our house. There's a hole she could go in. And I tried to get her out, but her legs had given out, her back legs. So I ran in the house to get a card table to give her some shelter with a tablecloth over it. That's what I did at 16. And when I came out with the table and the cloth, she wasn't under the wood pile anymore. And I thought, how did she get out of there when she couldn't move her hind legs? And I found her in the front bushes in front of the house, way deep in the bushes. And I sat with her, and I had never experienced death in my family. I had an old elderly neighbor who had died, but I didn't know anything much about death. It never entered my mind really in those days. And I sat with her, and I was probably with her for a half an hour, and she took her last breath with me. And in that case, there was no anticipation. There was nothing in my 16-year-old mind that said she's going to die someday. There was no angst. There was just, it was like 2 hours of her life. She hid from us, and I'm sure she wanted to die alone, but I didn't honor that. And to this day, I'm actually really glad I was with her when she passed. But that was a real cut and dry situation. There wasn't a lot of agony thinking about her end because I was so young and it happened so quickly. So the next dog I got was my first dog as an adult, and her name was Grady. She was a Sheltie. She was free to a good home. She lived in a trailer park with a couple other dogs and a bunch of cats and birds and fish. And the trailer park folks told the owners that they had to get rid of a dog. So I cut out the little ad in the newspaper, and she was 1 year old at the time. And when she was 6, we moved to Arizona. And I swear she gave me strength to move to Arizona, that I wasn't going alone. Grady was going with me, and it made it okay. And it's really strange, but she had many years left. But when she was about 7, I picked up a book called For Every Dog an Angel, written by Christine Davis. And it's a little picture book, and it guides us through the loss of our pet. And I was weeping and crying reading that book, thinking that Grady's day was coming. And Grady, I worried for years and years and years. And she did get older, and she went mostly blind, and she went deaf. And I know she had doggy dementia, but I kept her going, kept her going. As long as her tail's wagging, I said, we'll keep her going. And when she was just a month or two shy of 16 years old, I had to make the decision to take her to the vet and have her put to sleep. So I spent more than half of her life pre-grieving over the potential of her death. So that was a completely opposite experience from my experience with Hayek's. And then along comes Jack. And I got Jack when I had Grady, and I actually in my books referred to Jack as the backup plan. So when Grady passed, I wouldn't be alone, because I was alone all those years. I never married, and I had a lot of friends, but never married, no kids. So these pets become our kids when we're in this situation. So I didn't want to be left alone without Grady. So I got Jack from the puppy mill. I talk about that in our book. And he was a large breed. He was 90 pounds. He was a mixed breed Afghan hound. And I knew that large breeds don't live as long as small breeds, but I never thought that I would be facing losing him when he was 8. And he was absolutely healthy and happy and fine until one day, one weekend in July, he couldn't go to the bathroom. He couldn't have a poop. And so I started putting pumpkin in his meals, and I thought he was just stuffed up there. But the weekend passed, and then he was whining when he was trying to poop. So I took him to the vet on a Monday, and the vet said he had a mass in his rectum. So he had surgery scheduled for Tuesday, and I didn't think that would be the end of him. But I brought him home from surgery, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he went downhill and passed at 3 a.m. in the morning on Saturday morning. But I took him in for that surgery, and I was so sure he was going to make it. I said my prayer that he would be fine, and I would pick him up and we'd go home and heal. But he just took the downhill course. And that was that was the dog that changed my life and made me the author that I am. And he's the one that wrote the books through me. So we can talk about that more later. But now I have, well, before Jack passed, ironically, I found Joey, who needed a home. And Joey at the time, this was in 2013, I was told he was about a year old, but you never know how old the rescue really is. And I still have him. And if he was a year old, then he's 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey ended up having terrible separation anxiety that I didn't know about because he always had Jack.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to go to work, I
Mm-hmm.
came home and the house was teared to shreds. And I knew that I had to do something. So come summer, come May, it was 2 weeks after I finished writing the first book. I drove to Montana and I got Immy, who was a purebred Afghan hound who'd been on the show circuit, who just didn't make it on the show circuit. And she got sent back to the breeder, and he was looking for a home for her. So I brought her home, and she is 10 years old now. So I've got a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Right.
And I'm so alert to their age.
Yeah.
I'm so much better a mother to them based on my experience. And we're on farmer's dog food. We get reverse osmosis water. We get exercise. We get all the things we need to try to minimize and prevent something happening sooner than later.
Yeah.
But I know that every day that we're together, that we don't have a crisis of some sort, is a really good day. And I'm really trying to live every day with them in the moment, because every day is a gift. And something could happen tomorrow. And yet, if I worried like I did worry about Grady, I can't lose them at 16 and spend the next 6 years worrying about them. So I hope I've learned something from that.
Yeah.
But it's our human nature to worry, especially with things we love so much and we feel we need to protect.
Yeah. You know, so I love hiking, and I would take my golden retriever up the mountains in Hong Kong. Well, we have hills, and the hills are absolutely gorgeous. Golden retrievers do have already quite sensitive hips, but now I cannot take Oliver on these kind of walks up and down steps. And I have two little puppies now, rescues, and actually they were found in the hills of Hong Kong, and they're adorable, but they're full of life. And I am so happy that they came into my life last July, 6 months ago, because they really changed the energy at home. Having three elderly dogs, these two puppies brought an energy that is incredible. They're very playful, they're very respectful of my other three dogs. And Ollie, I can see Ollie also happier, but how golden retrievers always jump up and down. Oliver can't do that. He can't do that anymore. And yes, I, it makes me very sad each time when I see him struggle getting up. When I call him and say, "Ollie, come to me," and he struggles getting up, and he's walking very slow, and I know, I mean, he sleeps with me at night. And when I wake up in the morning, for example, this morning, and I started my meditation practice, he immediately comes on my lap and he places his paw on my tummy while I'm meditating. And and I just held him really tight. This was just this morning, and I held him so tight, and I'm whispering in his ear. I'm saying, Oliver, I know that, we're not going to have a lot a lot of time together. But just, and it's easy. It's easier said, Kate. It's so easy, but I was very sad. Let's put it that way. I am sad. I am sad. I held him very tight, and I was very sad because just like how you said, you were in anticipation for the almost the whole life of your dog. And I'm in anticipation. I'm already grieving this anticipatory grief. And this is where I need your help. And we all need some advice. So, the advice that you give, I also would like you to explain to everyone how your books came about, first of all, your Jack and how they came about, your journey, starting with book one.
No, my book. I have them here. I was Jack passed on August 1st of that year, and my dad passed August 2nd of that year. So I got walloped with grief, and I am the grief counselor, but I did not practice what I preached. I isolated myself. I probably drank too much and ate too much ice cream, trying to find comfort in whatever ways I could. And I grieved and cried every day for just about 6 months, even though I was getting signs and having dreams, and Jack's presence was amazing. I couldn't see him. I couldn't touch him. I couldn't feel him. And we miss those tangible things so much. And I want to interject here what we've spoken about Jack's death overshined my father's death tenfold. And I have heard from so many people in my travels through this pet loss support. People say, my God, I grieved more for my dog than I did for my mother, or I grieved more for my cat than I did for my grandparents. And it's just a fact of life that we could talk about a little later, but it was overshining my sentences here with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, 6 months to the day, I had a dream journal by my bed, and I never wrote down any of those dreams about Jack. I remembered them so clearly. I didn't need to write them down, but I never missed a day of writing something. And in all that 6 months, I never wrote a thing, not even a diary entry. And 6 months to the day, I got in bed and I picked up my dream journal, a big spiral notebook, and I wrote 12 long pages of Jack speaking to me from Jack's voice. And I put it down, and in the morning I woke up and I read it and I thought, my goodness, what am I going to do with this? Because there were concepts in that 12 pages that even as a hospice worker, I had never ever thought about before. So I knew it didn't come from my mind. I knew it came from somewhere else. And it was such his personality. So I said, what am I going to do with this? And I I think that was in February. And by the end of April, I had written the first book, which is Reflections on Life with My Master. And can you see that cross
Yes.
there in the sky?
Yes. Yes.
That background was an actual photograph that I took out on our trail when I was having a heart to heart with Jack, sitting at a little secluded area. And when I got up and went around the path to go home, that cross was in the sky. And that's the kind of thing that send me all kinds of signs that couldn't be denied. So I wrote the book from his perspective. I can't even say I wrote the book. He wrote the book from his perspective. And it's really a very uplifting book for the most part, because he was a real buoyant, cheerful, good-natured dog. And so is his book is to make death a cheerful thing, but he does. And it makes it easier to read it. But
Right.
I always say our story is your story too when I refer to the book, because everybody goes through very similar experiences when they love a pet that much and they have to let
Mhm.
go.
Right.
So
Right.
then during the course of my writing the book, there was a lizard that showed up every time somebody passed. It showed up when my neighbor passed. It showed up when Grady passed. It was on
Mhm.
the wall right over Grady.
Mhm.
It showed up a few weeks before Jack passed. It just showed up for one day. And then the day I left for the vet with Jack to take him in for surgery, that lizard was on the wall, and he stayed on the wall that whole week until Jack passed. And Jack passed that early Saturday morning. And that morning, I got up and the lizard was gone for the first time in the week. And I thought, oh, where did the lizard go? And I went out for a walk on Jack's trail, and I came back and the lizard was back. It had been maybe 3 hours. He never moved from that spot. So he was gone for a few hours. Then he was back. And then about an hour later, I got the call that my dad had died. They'd found him on his bathroom floor. And that lizard stayed there until I went and cleared out my father's apartment and did what I needed to do with him. And I came home until I was writing this book. And there's a whole story about what happened with Mr. Lizard when I was writing this book. And I turned around and I finished writing this book 2 months later. It's called The Lizard from Rainbow
Yeah.
Bridge, a true tale of an unexpected angel.
Right.
And that book is all about love and forgiveness. And it's a very spiritual book. People don't think they can learn much from a lizard, but this lizard is an exception.
Right. And so, excuse me, Kate, so all your books, you've written quite a few through Jack. They're all available on Amazon. And we are going to post, everything about your books. And also, you are gifting an ebook to everyone, which is lovely. So we will put a link at the end of this interview for those of you, you can just press on that link. And Kate has a lovely ebook that she's gifting to everyone, which is very, very helpful. And yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know, where they can get your book, and via Kate's website direct, and we're posting that, or via Amazon. Correct, Kate?
Perfect.
Yes, yes. No, yes. So I haven't read all your books, but let me tell you the wisdom in the few that I have read is incredible. Um, I wanted to ask you something. There is. I would love for you. There is a chapter that you wrote on Anticipatory Grief. And I would appreciate very much if you could read that to us, parts of it, because it was very, very powerful for exactly what the problem that I'm facing right now and that we are all facing with pets that are aging. Um, I would like to start off with one paragraph that I would like to read out, and then, Kate, I would like you to continue reading that chapter on anticipatory grief to all of us. It's a powerful chapter. If anything, this is very powerful for me, definitely. Death. I wish the word could be removed from the vocabulary and from the dictionary. It simply does not exist except in the human mind that was taught that it does exist. Death. People think they are a body, and they come to believe that when the body dies, everything they are will die too. That's not true. The soul lives on. The soul of consciousness exists not only in the body, but outside of the body too. We are all souls that cannot be contained or limited by space, by time, or the physical body. For souls, there is no death. This is chapter 13 from Kate's book, Return from Rainbow Bridge. Now, why I love that chapter, because for me, it gave me a lot of solace in knowing that even though I cannot touch my dog, one Gina who passed away, I cannot touch her, I cannot hold her. She's still around. And that for me meant a lot. Now I would really love for you to read this chapter of anticipatory grief. I think it's very powerful, and please go ahead, Kate.
Happy to. When you brought me into your life, it changed everything for both of us. It was not so long ago. We were still traveling the world together, thinking we'd live forever. All the adventures come to pass, and then, seemingly out of the blue one day, something happens that, once again, changes everything. Life will never be the same. The fear sets in. The threat of loss permeates your being and taints the world around you, disrupting everything. It's all you can think about, the impending loss of me. It's another kind of adventure that we will come to share. When something big changes your life, it's because you have something big to learn. You learned from my coming, and you'll learn from my going. Living with fear and the ache in your heart as you watch me decline, you wonder how you'll ever live without me. Perhaps you have already made some difficult choices on my behalf. Costly medications, challenging treatments, surgeries, countless fears, and days and nights on end filled with worry for me. You look back on the investment of life you have made with me, from the early training to the bond of love we've created through life's ups and downs. You've become a part of me, and I've become a part of you. That bond of love we've created together will never be broken, even though I will soon be gone. Oh, but not gone at all, only gone from your sight. Anticipatory grief begins the moment you realize that my death is inevitable, that there's no going back to the way things used to be. You will probably go through a mini version of the 5 stages of grief during this pre-grief process, during your anticipation of what is ahead. Your life shifts dramatically because you now anticipate my death and must prepare for it. But how on earth do you prepare for something such as this? Oh, no, you deny. It cannot be true. You are angry. It's just not fair. You bargain. Certainly there must be more tests that can be done. You become depressed when you learn that there are no more tests. There is nothing more that can be done. There is little time left for us. You learn that you have no control over the situation, and you are ultimately forced to accept the circumstances. You imagine your world without me in it. Hesitantly, you begin to picture what your life will be like, and while unpleasant, the visualization of it is like a little rehearsal. It's like a preview that prepares you just a little bit for when the time comes. It's all pre-designed so that you can begin to accept the fact that I am dying. Some of you begin this process of grief long before there is need for concern. This usually stems from your fear of the future, your attachment to me, and an ultimate not wanting and not knowing what to do when the time comes. It stems from the fear that you can't make it on your own without me. It's the resistance of having to face the living of life without me in it. Death forces change. It's the final stage of growth for the one who is dying, and it is a teacher that forces the growth of the one who remains. Most people are adverse to change, and they tend to cling to old ways of being in an effort to try to keep things the same. But they can't keep things the same, so they grieve just thinking about it. It isn't necessarily healthy, the clinging and this feeling of need that you have, but it's understandable. This early phase is by design. It gives you time. It makes you extra appreciative of what you have now. I am so grateful because I know you always appreciated me, but when you know the end of something is coming, you don't take anything for granted. When you know your time is short, each moment is precious, and with each moment comes the opportunity to say what needs to be said and to express your deepest love and appreciation to the one who will be leaving soon, or to the one who loves the one who is leaving soon, if you happen to be the one who is dying. Believe it or not, this anticipatory time is a gift in disguise. Not everyone is given time to prepare for loss. Some experience loss through trauma, accident, or sudden death. It happens so fast that you don't know what hit you. You never had a chance to say goodbye. You could not have anticipated it. There was no way to prepare for it. You did not have the luxury of this phase of experience called anticipatory grief. If you have not learned this, we now have this opportunity for me to teach you to look at your life and mine in the moment, to help you see what you have now and what you will not have later, and to make the most of each and every moment we have together in the meantime. I've been waiting for you. Come with me. Let's live in the moment together.
I love that. Come with
Thank
me. Let's live in the moment together. Um, Very powerful. I'll show you. I have my little one right here, and he's Nico. Nico came to me long, long time ago. Let me just a little down. He came to me 12 years ago, and this little buddy is also, he's getting there, and
you.
these are moments that are precious. And like you said, living in the moment. And as much as I can love him and hold him, and isn't he a cutie?
He's adorable.
It's adorable. And yeah, and we feel it. Nico is not, the same Nico when I got him, 11, 12 years ago. But yes, so yes, this is exactly what your chapter says. Very powerful. Living in the moment, Kate. That's huge. Um, I wanted to ask you about about. I know you answered it last time, but I would love for you to again, for those that haven't seen the first interview, they can see it again. It's always on the YouTube channel of Nurture Your Pet. Um, why is it so hard? Why? Why is this pain so hard? What is this bond? What is this that we feel? And this is for those who need it explained again, or who really can't understand why they feel the way they do with their pets.
Well, I don't know if my answer will be the same as it was last time because I've grown since the last time as well.
Mhm.
But it's hard because we had talked about a pet being a more difficult loss than many people in our lives. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we choose that pet, whatever age it is when we adopt it or when we buy it or whatever, however we attain it, we make that choice, and that choice becomes a commitment.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a commitment carries a lot of weight for us. And most of us take the commitment seriously. There unfortunately are some who don't, but most of us do.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is that they're dependent on us for everything, and they are like our children. And especially for those that don't have children, these pets are like our children, and they depend on us for quality of life, for nutrition, for exercise, for getting them help when they need help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important things about that relationship is that in return, they teach us unconditional love. There's not a human being on this planet, with maybe a couple exceptions, like the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa, that can provide 24/7 unconditional love.
Yeah.
And so that a lot of people, they have pets in their life when they don't have love in their life from humans.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes the pet seem to be everything to them. That's what matters the most out of everything, every other relationship they have.
Mm-hmm.
So that is more fodder for the flame of love between between us and our pets. But the other thing they teach us in every moment is to live in the moment. And that's they don't have any fear because there's no fear in the moment. There's only fear when you forecast something ahead of you, like death. It's fear that's creating the anticipation of the death.
Mm-hmm.
But so pets are not our models of fear. Pets are our models of heart and love and strength and only caring about what matters. They don't worry about anything. They know we're going to do that for them.
Yeah. You know, this is the thing. Again, I'm going back to the guilt. A lot of people, when it does happen, when they lose their pet, they feel guilty. Have they done enough, or or have they not done enough? And could they have prevented a lot? And another thing, not only have they done enough or probably could have prevented, and this is where I would love for you to explain it again in detail. You know, when you say you live in the moment, you wrote something, well, Jack wrote something very beautiful in one of the chapters about when your dog is aging, you know, okay, live in the moment, but you said something beautiful, or he said something beautiful. Hold him or her, look into her eyes, have a conversation. Can you walk us through that? You know, how that will help us not feel the guilt as much. Can you, by doing this now, living in the moment and doing what with our pets? What are all the things besides the physical nurturing, which I would love for you to go through with us too?
Right.
Apart from the physical, you know, the dental and good food, and that I would love for you to explain again. But let's talk about the connecting in the moment and what can we do? Like this little guy right now. What can I do with?
Well, you're in the moment with him right now, even though you're with us in the moment too.
Yeah,
So
he's right here.
you're doing double duty.
Yeah, double.
Uh,
Yeah.
even
yeah.
I'm here on my computer, and I love being here with you. But so often I'm on my computer, and Emmy's here, and Joey's here, and sometimes they come over for a little love, and I give them a little love. But I'm really focused on what I'm doing on the computer, and it's not like we can drop everything every time, but I already am feeling guilt because I'm forecasting how I'm going to feel the day life changes for us, and I'm going to come back to this moment and say I spent too much time on Facebook.
Right.
And spending a lot of time helping other people with their grief, and yet ignoring the needs of my dogs. They're not asking for it. If they really needed something, I would drop it all. But it shouldn't it's hard to live in the moment for us humans. And it's really natural to feel guilt because a lot of us grew up in families where guilt and shame were tools to inspire you to behave. And and as Jack says, guilt is something that the human mind made up. There is no guilt. There's no guilt and shame in the lives of a pet. They don't entertain those concepts. And even though sometimes you try to shame a pet into behaving, and they droop their tail and they lower their heads and they act like they're ashamed, but they're just acting because they know that's the response that we're looking for from them.
Mm.
So guilt isn't even a real thing. I've been studying the Course in Miracles for 30 years now, and guilt doesn't exist. It just exists in the human mind that's based in fear. And we do say I coulda, I shoulda, if only this, I would have. And it's our natural state to do that. But no matter what it is that happens, it could be a genetic thing that you had no control over. It could be just we think we have control. That's the other part of it. The other part of guilt is that humans want to control everything, and they feel like they have more control than they actually have.
Mhm.
So therefore there's more guilt because I should have been able to control this, when the only thing you can control is what's happening in the moment. You
Mhm.
can't control that the car is going to come down the street and
Mhm.
your dog is going to get out the back fence
Mhm.
and get hit by a car. There was nothing. You say, "Oh, I shouldn't have left the fence open." Well, the fence was open. People go to their graves saying, "I should never have left that fence open." But
Mhm.
as Jack says, something has to take us to heaven. Something has to happen. And all the circumstances are all predestined. And there's nothing we could have done really. We would have done it if there was something we could have done. So I don't know if I'm on track with what you're asking, but
You are.
I'm
It's
just talking off the top of my head.
you are on track. Everything you're saying right now is important, is valid, because that's we deal with that also with losing a pet immensely. It goes hand in hand. The
Mm.
the loss of not having, like, here's my other little fellow. He's also this one. Here's the other one, and here's the other
Wow.
one. I mean, honestly, like, I'm whispering because I think I cannot imagine. I can't imagine,
Mhm.
life when they're not here, but I have to, right? And because it's
Right.
inevitable,
It
right?
is. And you asked me about how to communicate with them in the moment.
Yes.
And doing that. And it's really important while we still have them to say what's in your heart,
Yeah.
to say what's on your mind, to say what you're worried about, to say, I know I shouldn't feel guilty, but I do.
Yeah.
And you need to communicate these things, even though they understand more what comes from the feeling in your heart than the words that you say. But the fact is that when they no longer are here, you can still speak to them from your heart to theirs. And it's never too late to talk with them. And, look at how much communication I had with Jack. I didn't even ask for it. And I got all this communication. It goes both ways. And they're waiting for us to connect with them from one side to the other.
I never
So,
knew that. That was the biggest thing that I took away when you were counseling me almost almost a year ago. Um, I don't know, but I never knew that. I never knew that I could still communicate with Gina after she left me, and through you, I was, I do that. I can feel her. I'm not going to say that I've been seeing her or seeing signs. Actually, yes. Can I tell you a little story?
yeah, we'd love to hear it.
So I lost Gina on the 22nd of March last year, 2022. And I was not in town she was in Hong Kong and I was not in Hong Kong when I lost it. And it happened within 2 days of her falling sick, getting surgery, emergency surgery immediately, and then passing away. The surgeons were exquisite. Everything was done well, but I was not there. I was with my mom in the Caribbean, my aging mom, and I couldn't just leave her. And I knew there was no point leaving my mom. I had just arrived, and I was never going to fly back in time for surgery because she needed to have that surgery immediately. So she passed away the day after surgery, and I was beside myself with grief. It was 22nd of March, and I got to know you 2 months later, and I needed counseling. So now I come back to Hong Kong. I come back to Hong Kong in July. Why did I stay away so long? Well, I was with my mom, and I came back, and we had a lot of issues in Hong Kong with the quarantine and COVID and all that, and I came back end of July. And end of July, I called up a shelter when I arrived, and I said, I would love to adopt a doggy because I have room in my heart for more love to give. I had, by then, the healing had started with the loss of Gina, and I knew in my home that I had more love to give. And I have other pets at home too, like my little fellows and Oliver. And the lady at the shelter, her name is Narelle. She says, I found the perfect dog for you. I said, puppy? Yes, puppy. I said, the reason I wanted a puppy was because I wanted to start training this puppy. I'm also studying to be a service and therapy dog trainer. So I thought, I'll get a puppy and start doing the training. She sends me a picture of two puppies, one beautiful little black one and a little brown one. She goes, they were found in the hills in Hong Kong, and yeah, pick which one you want. And I said, wait, there's two. What's going on? Two brothers. I said, no, I'm not going to separate the brothers. I will take both of them. And they came home the next day to me. This was the 1st of August. They came to me. And I said, okay, Nara, I have to take the puppies to the vet. So can you please give me their medical records? What, have they been vaccinated or not? So I can take them. And she says, yes, I'll give them all to you. In the meantime, she says, I'm so happy that you took both of them because one was being adopted and it got canceled. Then the black one, they preferred the black one. Then they preferred the brown one. So 3 adoptions fell through. They were going to be adopted 3 times. It fell through. They said, okay, well then, lucky me. You will not believe this, Kate. I got their medical records. When were they born? The 22nd of March. They were born the 22nd of March, the day Gina passed on. And from March till end of July, they were not yet adopted. Not yet. I know for a fact that they waited for me. Mm-hmm. And they have lit up my house. They have lit us all up. There's so much love. And so yes, that is the sign I did get. And that was a huge thing that you taught me through Jack, that know that it's a soul that's hanging around, and will be with you and continue. It doesn't just go away. So that was a huge thing. And thank you very much for that. So going back to what you were saying, being in the moment, speaking to your dog so that you have less to be guilty about after. You can't say, oh, I spent all those days just patting him and, but looking the other way when I'm watching TV and stuff. But these little moments mean a lot. And
like I'm doing right now.
Yeah. I'm learning to communicate more with them now, and when I take them for walks, stop, be in the moment, through them, appreciate nature. So no more cell phones on my walk. I put the cell phones away. Before, that used to be a time where I would catch up with my kids who live in different countries. But no, I kind of stopped doing that. It's about me and them. It's about me and them. Then
right.
you mentioned also about the which is huge, the physical care, dental. They both are going within the hour. They're going to dental cleaning and all that right now. So as you were talking about the water, and I'll let you continue with the with with how you prepare yourself with love and how you continue taking care of them physically. Go ahead. Okay.
You know, you go the extra mile because I know out of my family budget, what I'm paying for them for their food is more than I pay it for myself. And so I think sometimes we do these things so that we don't feel guilty. We overextend ourselves because we don't want to feel the guilt later. But yeah, we've got the right treats going. We don't we're very careful about what we serve. One of the things we do is we have a dental spray. We spray it on once a day, and after every spray, they get a neck bone, and the neck bones actually brush their teeth, but also
Mm-hmm.
gives them great pleasure. We walk twice a day. Thank God we walk twice a day because I would be behind my computer all that time if we didn't. But the
Mm-hmm.
other thing we do is we make sure we go to the dog park, and we usually go at quiet times because Emmy is very shy. My Afghan hound's very shy. So we try to time it when hardly anyone is there, and sometimes nobody's there. We live in a small town, so sometimes nobody's there, so that they can run like the wind, run and run and run, because they can't do that on a leash.
Yeah.
And even we have two leashes as well. We've got a regular leash with a coupler on the end for when we
Mm-hmm.
walk through town and we have to behave
Mm-hmm.
impeccably.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have the retractable leashes,
Mm-hmm.
which I know they say they're dangerous, but we walk through town on the quiet nights and
Mm-hmm.
I let them choose what directions they want to go so that they don't feel ultra control, so that they have a sense of self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing we do, we did obedience training many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and every night before we have our evening treat, they do one or two of their tricks
Yes.
so that I can say, "Oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're
Yes.
so good."
Yes. Yeah.
And they can be reminded how good they are. They're not It's not just that I love you, but I honor you and respect you and you're so smart.
I
So,
love that. I
yeah.
I love that. In the evenings we do the same thing. Well, early evening, pull out the treats and we do these cute little tricks, and it's our little happy time where they get to show off, and
They
and I
feel like they accomplished something.
yeah.
Yeah. I have a quick story about goodbyes, about not being able to be there to say goodbye. And it happened years ago when I lived in Sedona, and I lived a couple houses away from Patty, who had a cocker spaniel. And she and her cocker spaniel lived in an RV for a long time before she bought her house, and she was very, very attached to this dog. I think his name was Buddy. And Buddy wound down. He was like maybe 15, 16 years old. And Patty knew that the end would be coming soon. And she kept him home, and she took time off work, a couple of weeks off of work, to be with him. And she never left him alone. She didn't want him to die alone. And the last day, she never left his side. He wasn't eating. He was still conscious, but he wasn't eating and wasn't responding a lot. She left him at about 10:45 at night just to go to the bathroom, and she went really fast and came back really fast, and he died in that little bit of time while she was gone. So there's an example of, you try to control every minute and you can't. And she never felt guilty because, well, we talked about it. And yeah, she can't say, "Oh, I wish I hadn't gone to the bathroom." She knew that he needed that time to do what he needed to do.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. They sometimes they they do that when you're not there because they know it's going to be very hard for you to let
Right.
go. And that was I've heard that actually from a veterinarian.
Yep.
Veterinarian told me that that in her practice she's seen countless times where pets will not will not go if you keep grieving and crying, and the poor pet is suffering. Um, you know, uh, Kate, there's this ebook that you are so generously sharing for free with everyone, and I'll put the link on again for everyone. This book is huge, and I know we're talking. This interview is all about, how to continue loving your dog while your dog is still there, aging but still healthy, and continue loving and be mindful that the dog's not going to live forever in your life. Just be mindful in what to do. However, this book, when it does happen, it's sad, but there are sometimes you have to make the ultimate hardest decision, ultimate, which is you. When do you say it's enough and say, okay, now I have to let go? So this ebook that you're gifting for free to everyone, it's not putting me down, it's raising me up. I It's a powerful ebook. It's I tell everyone, please download it. It is powerful. You will need it at some point if you have several pets. You will need it, and it helps you and it helps the pet. Do read this book not only for you, but read it for your pet. Help your pet also when that time comes and you are no, I'm not going to let go, and the pet is suffering. So sometimes it's a very hard decision, and there again the guilt and everything. So even though you haven't reached that point as yet, I'm telling everyone, please read it now. I read it afterwards. Of course, it helped, but I wish I had read it when I had to make that decision to give Gina the injection, and and that guilt was for 2 months. It could have killed me. I'm telling you, it could have killed me. I read the book afterwards. It helped me a lot. My advice to everyone is please read it now. Do yourself a favor and definitely do it for your pet. Read it. It's not a long ebook. It's short, but it's to the point and it says everything the way it is meant to say. And Kate, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you because I feel you've shared a lot of valuable advice to all of us. The, and right now we are not in a point of grieving. This whole interview is about still having our pets around us. So this is a complete different interview from last time. Last time was about now what do we do? How do we move on? What do I do with my life now? That was that. That was But this one is now what can we do now while they're still around us, and while we
That's right.
we how we can love them, and how you are surrounded by your pets right now. And like you said, they're 11, 12 years old now, yours, and I'm surrounded by mine. Three of my five dogs, they're already 11 and 12. And I feel what you have shared with all of us today. Thank you for that. There are nuggets of wisdom from Jack, and for me, quite a few takeaways. And I think I'm going to go and continue doing what you say. Live in the moment. Go and take them on a beautiful walk. The sun is bursting. Take them on a walk. I do naughty things too. Okay. I um I give them treats that are not necessarily coming out of a bag. They're not always sweets, right? They take ice cream or little
Oh,
doggy burgers, and we
no.
do that. They're the hottest dates I have right now. They're the hottest dates.
If we were a dog, that's what we'd want.
There's
Yeah.
this restaurant chain, I don't know if you've heard of it, called the Five Guys or something like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you have it. Yeah, the Five
We
Guys.
don't have it over here.
I
Yeah.
have my own Five Guys in my house permanently.
For five guys.
All guys. They're all
Are they
guys.
all boys?
Sorry?
All boys.
All boys. I've got my own Five Guys.
Wow, five guys. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yes. I want to thank you very much, Kate, for today and for your time and for your friendship. I think
No,
more than anything, because I know when you give me your time and all of us, you do it from your heart. And I
no,
know that. This time that you've given all of us, you've done it not as a favor. You what it's from your heart. You and Jack's heart. And I thank
see,
you.
Jack taught me well. It's all
I
Jack taught me, that to
yeah.
give, just keep on giving. And I appreciate you so much, and you've become a good friend as well. And I appreciate your time as much as you appreciate mine. Appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing, Jack.
It's precious. It's really precious, and we need people like you to guide us because we can't do this alone. We need people like Jack to guide us. We cannot do
We
this
all need
alone, and I cannot express how important your books are. Your books are very for everyone that has a pet. Um, I would say, read a book or a couple of your books along the way.
Mhm.
They help you and they help you relate with your pet better while your pet's around you, and and how to deal and how to cope with illness, with age, old age, and then again the inevitable. I know there's no such thing as death, but there is still that not being physical with the
That's
dog.
right.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
hey, you know what? I'm coming to Arizona and I'm gonna be physical with you. I can't wait to hug you
Oh,
and
I'll
see
make every effort to be there too, wherever you are.
Kate, thank you so much, and we will stay in touch again. And for the viewers, we will put down all your contact details,
Mhm.
and so they can get in touch with you because I know there are a lot of us out there that need perhaps a little bit of counseling, a little bit more than books, and I know that you always respond with your
Mhm.
emails. I know how good you are. You have social media, your Facebook, and you have your group, right?
Yep.
Would you like to say something about your group on Facebook?
Yeah,
About
we've had the group since 2015, and we've got about 8,000 members in it, and we have about 200 or 300 that have chosen to stay in it, who've read the books, who are able to help others going through this difficult time. And I couldn't do it without them. I call them the Jack Lights because
yeah.
they light the way for others. And if any of your viewers are on Facebook, just go
Mhm.
to www.facebook.com/groups
Mhm.
/Edge of the Rainbow.
Okay. So we're
Yeah.
going, yes, and we're going to print all that at the bottom of this interview,
Okay.
and all your details, how to, and I tell everyone, please join Kate's group. Um, we're all in this together, and support, connection and support, huge, huge.
Yeah.
When you have pets and you're going through any sadness or
Yeah.
loss, please do that. Your group is tremendous, and it does everyone a lot of good. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. So it's the books, Facebook
Mhm.
group, your social media. You also post wonderful things, wonderful quotes. I love all the things that you post, and I love how active you are, and how you're out there and helping us
Yeah.
all. Thank you very much, Kate. I send you the biggest kiss, and I can't
Back.
wait to
Thank you,
see
Nina.
you. You have a wonderful evening, and I'm gonna have a spectacular day.
Have a
A
beautiful, healthy,
spectacular.
wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
We'll see you again. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.